I know you're a little bit devastated with your performance. That's a good thing, right? But what you spoke to me there whenever you came off, what was the reason and like why are you not happy with it?
I'm always very critical of myself. I'm always pushing to be better. I'm always pushing to perform. And don't get me wrong. I think it was a good fight. I think even his corner said we fought like Mexicans. You know what I mean? We did put on a show for the fans. I'm hoping everybody enjoyed it. Especially that last bit. We really pushed each other. He's undefeated for a reason. People can say this and that about him. He's not fought nobody, but he's 17-0, 15 knockouts. You know what I mean? And I'm 14-0. We went in there, risked it all. Even though I didn't feel like I was at my best, I went out there in front of how many people and still won, not feeling at my best. So that is a bonus. But I'm always critical of myself.
Let's talk a little bit about him first. In the build-up to this fight, was he better than you expected?
I don't know. Was he better or was I just worse than I wanted to be? I didn't feel like he hit me with some clean shots, but sometimes I do that to myself. I get too much into the moment. When I know somebody can't knock me out, I want to get hit. I like to get hit and hit them, and I feel like I fell back into that, being a bit like, I'll take one to try to give one, and took more shots than I probably should have, that I was working on a lot not to get hit, but I enjoy fighting, I enjoy getting hit, and it's kind of stupid really, but, fuck it. I probably made him look better than what he was, and fucking, I don't know. Overall, I'm happy. I'm here in Vegas.
Did you feel comfortable in there tonight, though? Was there any, how did camp go? Was everything good?
Yeah, the camp was actually very good. It was probably my first camp in a while where I didn't have any injuries. I had very good sparring. It was just the night, probably. I felt like I was here for a long time, too. I was here till 4 o'clock. I don't know what time it is now or what time I even fought.
It's 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Why'd you come so early?
This is my report time. I left my room and I was here. I was sitting in there for a long time, and I was warming up a bit, and I'd sit down again. And a lot of fights went the distance, too. I didn't really expect. Had my gloves on for a while. I think by the time I got out there, I was like, fuck, I'm trying to get up, and at the start you kind of didn't want to engage. But overall, this many people watching it, man, on Netflix, like I said a while ago, Dana sitting there, Turkey sitting right there, you know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
Did you feel pressure?
I felt a little bit, not to perform, especially when I knew I wasn't performing. I was like, come on, get better, and I was kind of forcing it a bit, and fucking Jason Statham sitting there as well, that was cool, it's mad, but yeah, probably once I felt like I wasn't really letting the shots go, I kind of put a bit of pressure on myself. Yeah.
When you think back to that young man from Cove, that young boy, maybe 5-6 years of age, can you quite imagine you just call me in the event, Crawford Canelo, and they leave the stadium in Las Vegas?
Couldn't imagine it. It's unbelievable. I'm very, like I said, critical on myself, but when I think about what I just accomplished, what I just did in front of this many people, in front of my grandmother, my girlfriend, my amateur coaches from back and forth, they all came out, and it's mad, from being 6 years old to being here, it's crazy.
What would you say to a young 6-year-old kid in Cove right now?
It's tough, but just keep going, nothing was easy, it's not easy, and I say
for people that don't know, what about your journey was tough when you first came here?
It's all tough, a lot of people in school when I was coming up told me like, oh, what's your plan B? You have plan B, you can't box your whole life, what are you going to do? And I never listened, I always knew I could box, I always knew I could do it if I wanted, and then, of course, moving here and trying to get a visa, and I was sleeping on a couch for a while, a lot of people don't know that, I was fighting for fucking like $9 grand, you know what I mean, and I would have 3 months rent behind to pay, and then I would pay that for rent, and then my first couple of fights, my first pro fight, I was making nothing, like my first 6-7 fights, I was fucking just fighting to pay my rent, you know what I mean, and obviously it worked out, hard work does pay off, but it's tough, and this is for all the fighters out there, it's not easy, nothing's easy, getting punched in the face, fucking 3 days a week and training and waking up is very hard, but just keep pushing, and you can make it happen for yourself.
I don't want to take you too long. Who do you fancy in this, Canelo Crawford?
Crawford boxes smart. He could probably win, but I just think he's going to take a couple of rounds and Canelo is just going to pick him off and break him down. Canelo breaks down fighters, and I can see him getting a decision made.
And who's next for Callum Walsh?
Fucking whoever, you know what I mean? I know Turkey there told me a while ago, he's like, will you be ready in November? I said, I'm born ready, you know what I mean? I'll fight.
What's the name you want?
Anybody, he wants me to fight out in Wembley, so an English guy would be nice,
Josh Kelly?
It could be, I don't have anything against anybody, I don't want to be calling people out and seeming like an asshole, and I'm not, that's not my style, you know what I mean? I'm respectful about it, I respect any man that steps in the ring, and I want to put on good fights, and whoever it is, it'll be, I fight the man in front of me, and that's it.
Well, Callum Walsh, always a pleasure on IFLTV, appreciate your time, bro.
Thank you.